Yeah, guys, that was a pretty dope episode tonight.
That won't get me charged, man.
Yeah.
Man. There's so much more that we can cover.
Right.
It's only the scratching the surface.
Excuse me.
Bless you. Only scratching the surface on what we can cover there. I mean, I think we are at a moment where all levels of institutions are being challenged. And I think we got to get back to the purity. I think we got to get back to, when I say purity, I'm not talking about some old historic thing we were there before. Bless you.
Thank you.
You ain't got COVID over there,
You
dude.
got man. No.
One more.
It's
Right, seriously. Look, we go out of contact trace real quick. We like, okay.
I'm good.
Put a mask on the podcast.
For real, like, all jokes aside, we ain't playing with that one for real.
Yeah,
But God bless.
For the record, our whole family unit, we got tested. We all negative. So, Tori, not too far from where you live at, they do have testing. And all jokes aside, but if y'all do want to go, it's free testing.
Wolf Creek, did y'all pull up or did y'all have to register?
So Trina registered, but I just pulled up. I was like, yo, my wife just came. I'm just coming behind. And they just get some basic information from you, bro. Like at that point, yeah, you good to
Pulling
go.
up tomorrow.
Yeah.
Just to be chill. But yeah, what were you saying, Chris?
Are we still recording?
Yeah.
Oh, all right. We just went on. I was like, what?
We'll stop and start over.
My bad. No,
Man, that's gold, bro. Keep on.
I just legitimately was like, okay.
Just
I
live
don't think we're recording right now. That's the only reason why. Sorry.
I know we were going through like semantics and like day-to-day formalities.
And this is unfiltered. This is the Black Afterthought. This is what we do.
No. For
this
real,
is this is live and in living color, just like Jesus was. Alive and in living color.
I don't mind it.
In living color.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I like legitimately just.
I know what color he wasn't.
I know what color. Hey, low key, man. I kid you not, bro. And I think I sent y'all this picture, man. And it might not even come up clear on here. But
are we recording again?
Yeah,
I didn't stop
it.
Oh, we stopped it?
No, I didn't.
No, we actually.
Oh, see, that's what I'm talking about. We still live. So when I tell you, bruh, I got an activity book for my kids the other day, and when I opened that bad boy up, that's what I saw. Y'all can barely see it.
Yeah.
I can tell that that's a young white fella.
That's White Joseph.
It's White Joseph. You know what I'm saying? It's a coloring book, right? But why every single coloring page on this book, you know what I'm saying, look like the Backstreet Boys?
Yeah, typically they ain't looking like they from nowhere near where they from.
Can't even get it right in the coloring book.
Right.
So
yeah,
there's that.
Look, this is one of those where, I mean, as we discussed, we understand that there's a certain level of control. There's a certain level of dominant culture that's being promoted. And I just think we just got to challenge that. As I said before, we're just at a moment where we're challenging everything. I think that's pure and that's true to do. Because if not for nothing, I mean, it's just not accurate. I mean, what we said before is like Jesus stood for truth. So,
right.
Yeah. And that's,
what year was that book published?
Last year, 2019. so that show you right there how recent this attempt to whitewash Christianity is, bro.
Mo, have you ever thought about maybe that book wasn't meant for you?
Oh, it ain't. My wife, matter of fact, she colored the front of it. It ain't white no more. Put it like that.
Oh, she took the time to actually cover it. Y'all can just throw that junk away.
Hey, no, we will. We just
I ain't gonna lie. That's what I've done a few times at the house. We get like sometimes you get like like as a parent you get like little used books or little stuff. Man, I don't threw a few like whitewashed books in the trash can.
Representation is important, bro. Like I mean, look at our cartoons. Look at our all these books that these kids are reading. Like we have boldly decided in our home, like anything that does not truly represent what they will see in this society and what they see in themselves, more importantly, will not be in this house. Point blank.
That's why for me, like on a totally different aside, but in the same vein, that's why I rock with. We don't have kids, but I respect Doc McStuff and stuff like that.
Oh man, and I hate they canceled it.
Yeah, I just loved it. I love the idea of Black imagery in the positive light. And I think ultimately you know, okay, we're doctors too. You know what I'm saying? We're lawyers. We're everything anybody else is, period. And I think that's what the message says. But I think to the notion of our episode tonight, I'm curious though, why this is so uncomfortable for people to come to terms with. I mean, I know we discussed it, but I mean, it is one of those things where, all right, let's put it into perspective, right? The Bible. There was a woman who had an issue of blood, and she came to Jesus, and she just tried to touch, obviously, the hem of his garment. We know that. Did Jesus say, "Hold up"? As you know, when who touched me? Like, I felt that, and like, no, something different. Oh Lord, everybody's around you touching, like no, someone touched me. And then he found out. And then when a woman told, I came here to you, to get healed and whatnot, he didn't say like, oh, well, you all right, like, don't worry about that. He didn't like push that away. He acknowledged the fact that that person had an issue, literally, but also had a challenge with something, and he addressed it. And then he said, furthermore, you'll be blessed because of your faith, and like that whole nine. So like, this is the challenge that I have oftentimes in our faith, all the way around, with even those who follow the faith, that they don't try to orient themselves to be challenged from like what they've been taught or what they've learned, and to truly question all of these things, and to be honestly mentally nimble in the way they think about it all, and to say like, oh, okay, maybe I got it wrong, or maybe I thought about it a different way. Yeah,
it's comfortable. When you're living in euphoria, of course you don't want to change it. When you're living in a world where everything is tailored to your likeness, to your comfort level, when Jesus himself matches who you want to be, not who you want him to be, even more so who you want to be, you stay there. You see no reason to move, and you will put opposition on anything that challenges that. But the reality is, I mean, that's just at the core. I think Ace, you alluded to this in the episode. Like, that's at the core of Christian faith in general. Like, we are very used to and very comfortable with making everything that's biblical match who we want to be, not the opposite. When God challenges the very core of us, in our flesh, at our worst, right?
I think it goes back to how we said the misalignment. You're not in line with the true purpose, and so once you start imparting what your purpose is, or what your wants, or what your needs are, it draws you out of place. It's kind of like when you have to go to the chiropractor, you have to go to get adjusted to get realigned, right? That's one thing that has not occurred with Christianity in America. They haven't had that realignment. They try to, sweep things under the rug, and, oh, well, it's better now, not dealing with what the issues actually are, so that they can get back in line.
Yeah, the number's been declining though. I mean, look, you look at the data, the raw data, numbers have been declining in the church altogether, and those who follow the faith and those who, so I think that gets to the point that you're saying, Tori. Because I mean, I think at the end of the day, when people are searching, when people want to identify with something so deeply entrenched and connected to them, they want it to be pure. They want it to be, like, whatever I stand for, I need for that to be strong.
Yeah.
And if I say that I stand for something where there's like a whole bunch of really, really tricky, shady, like there's some historical moments where it's not so great and whatnot, and we're not trying to reconcile that, I can see where so many people are like, maybe that's not for me. Maybe that doesn't align with my identity.
Here's the reason though, because at the end of the day, everybody wants to know that what they believe in terms of God is right. Like, that is, you take everything else away, that's the one thing that you better have right. Like, I mean, obviously, there are people who believe in heaven and hell, there are people who don't, whatever. At the end of the day though, somebody's gonna be right, in terms of worldviews and what people believe, and we're not going to debate that. But what we are saying is that at the very core of it, the people need to feel connected to God, connected to people. They need to know what love is. And if if the biggest piece of that, which is a connection to a greater being, is in any form or shape, like altered or lessened or weakened or manipulated, they're not gonna want anything to do with it, because that's what they want to be the strongest point of their life.
Right.
That drives everything.
Yeah.
Identity.
Yeah.
It's real,
they
man.
build everything.
What about you, JD? How do you feel? What are your thoughts about tonight, man?
I mean, man, I got a lot of thoughts, honestly, bro. It's one of those things, like when I looked up the picture and just to see that picture was drawn in 1940. And you would think that that's a depiction of something that we've been seeing for centuries.
Yeah.
That's a 60-year-old picture, bro. Like, well, no,
80
years now. An 80-year-old picture that and when I say we, I mean just in general, we take as law.
Right.
An 80-year-old picture. And it's just like mind-boggling just to know that we going off of somebody who's not even qualified. Like he's just a painter. You know what I mean? Like he just, oh, this is what I think Jesus looked like.
Yeah,
Right.
he wasn't even a theologian. Like he wasn't.
No, like in fact, he, like we said in the episode, he also worked at an advertising agency. So
Yeah.
it's just, it's just funny, man, just to know that same picture was up in the wall at my first church growing up.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, like on church fans, like everywhere. And I'm like, yo, bro, imagine if your whole life, that's what you see as your representative of Jesus. That's what you see your whole life growing up. And you wonder why it's so hard for us to get to another level, because we see what we see and we visualize, and it's something that we don't necessarily relate to.
White man
but
is
this
your
is
hero.
what we supposed to, this is the standard, right? Because your grandma and your mom and dad, they just taught you to love Jesus, love God with all your heart. And they kind of, for the most part, stop there. And the rest of this stuff, we just really learn on our own, which that's fine. But imagine saying love God, love Jesus with all your heart, and I look at this picture and he don't look like me. That's another message of like, oh, so I don't supposed to love me? Or it's so much deeper than what we actually talked about on the episode, bro. That's even a part of systematic racism, all of the above, bro. It's like, it's setting us up to appreciate and love our oppressor. And I know that might be a little heavy, but it's a lot going on, bro. And it's like, it's going to take a lot of us to strip that down and understand God for who he really is. And that's the love of everybody. But, we got a lot of work to do.
Gotcha.
Well said, bro. And I don't have much to add, but just deconstruct, align in the word, align in that true understanding of Jesus, which means, there's some institutional things that are just part of what the brokenness of the world is going to have some institutions and structures. Those structures may have pure intent, but the evil may kind of creep into it. So you have to, if you participate in a certain institutions or structures, you just have to also zoom out and not let the institution or structure be your identity, and find your true peace outside of that. So that's kind of have to do. So for me, it's not like I have to just eject from church or all that. For some churches you might need to, but more importantly, it's like, all right, good word, Pastor. Now let me make sure I'm reading this Bible for myself and sharpening myself, and I'm letting the structure of the institution drive my knowledge of God, because that could be detrimental. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Agree. No, that's a good point. Well, fellas, this is, like always, it's the Black Afterthought, man. We try to give people deeper insights and perspectives of our various opinions. We're not a monolith. As Chris, I like to always say, we have very different experience, very different trains of thoughts that leads us to the men that we are now. And just to let you guys in to see how we interact, one, as a brotherhood, and just two, just to get to know us a little bit better. So please like, subscribe, and please leave comments and questions, and we'll get back to you on one of the episodes. Thank you guys for listening to us.
The Black Men Think Podcast.